Okay, for the purposes of prototyping and interacting with several sample users, what we did is we basically created a very low fidelity prototype using a set of oversized note cards. So we basically drew out the interface, and then that interface was, we drew it out on cards, and then the decision points throughout the cards, meaning as the users flip through the cards, they could decide on different places or different screens to navigate to based on the numbering scheme of the cards. So basically, the prototype begins from the opening screen of a iPhone, and basically, so the first action would be that the user clicks on the icon for our app. Now, the first time they launch the application, what they would see is an alert asking them to create a new bot. Since there's no bots defined, there's nothing to list in the stack, therefore the app is prompting them automatically to create a new bot. If they clicked no at this point, they would just see a blank screen. If they clicked yes, then it's going to take them straight into the bot wizard, which will guide them through the process of creating a new page bot instance. So in this case, we're on note card 1, and the user is going to click yes. So we turn this over, and what we see is, okay, application is started for the first time, or the user launches the app after all bots are deleted. So it's an either or situation. They've clicked yes, and now they're going to go to card 2 inside the bot wizard, and the first screen they're going to see is a prompt to enter the name of the new bot that they wish to create. Now, if at this point they were to click next, and this kind of showcases one issue that we sorted out using the low fidelity prototypes. We initially thought that we would use basically symbol-based buttons. So you see an X here to indicate cancel, and a next or a right arrow key to indicate next. Based on the input from our users who worked with this very low fidelity prototype, they said that they would prefer having actual labels on the buttons, and that's what you will see in our subsequent high fidelity prototype. So at this point, if they did not enter a name, or they entered the name of something that did not already existed, then they would get an error message. In this case, so one thing that we wanted to do, and which seemed to test well with our test users, was the idea of having funny error messages. So you will see this more clearly in the high fidelity prototype, but you can see it here in this card for the low fidelity prototype. Basically, the idea is that every error message begins with a funny statement of some sort, catchphrase from pop culture of some sort. Again, this is captured to a greater degree in our high fidelity prototype. So they would click OK, and if you turn this over, it says go back to card 2. So we're going to go back to card 2, and now they're going to enter a name again. They enter a valid name at this point, we'll assume, and now they would go to card 3 or card 4, where they're going to be allowed to enter an URL of the target URL, meaning the target page that they want the bot to pull or search. Again, so now there's a plus sign here that if they click the plus, it would basically call back to itself and add a new text box to the screen. Now, if they click the plus, but they had entered something invalid, they would be sent to an error message. Again, at this point, this becomes the generic error message in the low fidelity prototype. When we did our Wizard of Oz testing, that's where we kind of interjected our own creativity. When they entered an invalid response, we basically threw out some kind of funny statement denoting an error. As we had said previously, the idea is to make the errors funny. So throughout the rest of the low fidelity prototype cards, we come back to this generic error message dialog whenever an error occurs. Okay, so they hit OK. Again, it's going to go, if we look at the scenario, go back to the screen you were on. So we go back to the screen we are on. Now we're going to enter a valid URL, and we're going to move forward. Again, if we look at the the scenarios on the back of the card. Next, valid, yes. We're going to go to card number 6. So here's number 6. 6 is in the wizard is basically entering the query that is going to be used against the differing websites. So basically how we anticipate this and what we tested with our test users is the idea of just using basic logical operators. And to facilitate that, basically we're giving you an extended text box. Again, this seemed to make sense to the people that we talked to and presented this to. Okay, so let's assume going forward now that everything's going to be entered validly or entered correctly. So we hit next, and we're going to go to card card 7, heart rate. They're going to configure that. Hit next. Heart rate, in case you're wondering what we're talking about there, is the idea of how frequently the application will pull the website that they have targeted. Again, this is something that we tested with real people. They seem to like and to latch on to the idea of a page bot in the sense of a robot, in the sense of giving it attributes of some kind of entity or a mechanism, not a mechanism, but more of a giving it like humanistic or living attributes. So instead of saying frequency, we said heart rate in that case. Now, so they configure the frequency, then they're going to go and they're going to set up, okay, you've got a target, you've got a criteria, you've got a frequency, or a heart rate, how often, or what do you want the page bot to do once the criteria is met. So we've got on this screen there, they're given the option of notify, meaning on-screen notifications, send text, send email, or smoke signal. Again, the smoke signal is meant to be funny. If they click on that, they will get a funny error message, something like along the lines of, I can't send smoke signals. Again, the idea of the app is to be playful and to engage the user. Again, and once again, we found we got a positive response from the people that we walked through this with on that idea. So we will keep it, and you do see that in the high fidelity prototype that you will see subsequently in this presentation. Okay, so then they go on and they're going to be entering a contact. Basically, this is okay who you're going to text, and it's going to operate as a normal contact selection dialog. You can select one or add multiple. It's going to go off of what is in their contact list, or it will allow them to enter a phone number. And then we move through to email, same thing, it's going to work the same way. And then we come to the state, or as we've following the same idea of giving it human-like or robot-like attributes. We call it its life cycle, but we're really talking about the state of the mechanism, meaning, okay, you've created this, do you want to start up immediately? Do you want it to be disabled? Do you want it to run one time? So they select that with the radio button here, and then after that, you get to a summary screen. Now, when you came into the application after the fact, after you've created a bot, the summary screen is what you would get to if you edited the bot's configuration. So all of these screens are reused for maintenance purposes. The summary screen basically gives you the attributes and allows you to jump to those attributes based on what you select. So in the back of this card, you'll see that there's a lot of navigation pathways that they can go through and jump between cards. And we did play out some of that and made perfect sense to the people that we tested it with. Okay, now you get to the main screen. So they've configured a bot. We're back to start. Basically, they've launched the application. This is what they would see. This is what they'd see after they save it. You've got just your basic window here. If you click edit, then all of the items listed will go into an edit state, allowing you to delete them, meaning that the minus shows up. If you click the plus sign, then that would add one. Again, these are very common characteristics of an iPhone or Android mobile app. So there's nothing new here. And that concludes basically the low fidelity prototype that we came up with and tested to finalize what characteristics we would carry forward into the high fidelity prototype. Thank you.